Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We got Joe Rogan talking about all of the people that are going through these investigations and audits, all these federal employees, and how they're under the squeeze and how they're all panicking right now. Joe actually makes a great argument for what's actually going on within these circles. I want to say Democrat, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say these circles of federal employees. So Joe's going to be getting into that. They also touch on right-wing dudes who are paid. You'll hear about that. The mainstream media ignoring the USAID corruption. Rachel Maddow blatantly lying during her 100 days, 100 episodes as she's covering Trump's first 100 days. Elon Musk talking about social insurance. And then thank God for James O'Keefe. Let's touch on all of that after this clip. Let's go.
It makes sense because I was like, who's paying for this?
Yeah.
Like, help me out.
Yep.
Like, no, don't you see the way the splatters are? Like, no,
That's
I don't.
why we're all questioning you, Joe Rogan. Yeah, what USAID connections do you have?
I think I skipped the system. I think somehow or another they up
Look at
and let
me, my
through.
whole family's intelligence and military. I was a pirate radio guy in 1983. They must have been like, this guy's lost. We can't use him. He'll be no good.
I mean, the real kooky people probably think you're my handler or something because you created podcasting.
That's right.
Because
yeah.
there is that thought that, like, this is one of the things that comes up now all the time. And we talked about this on CNN. We're saying that there's a whole financed and backed right-wing ecosystem that's created these podcasts.
Where's my check?
Well, this is just stupidity. This is the problem where when you look at some conspiracies, you think, oh, well, that applies to all things.
Yeah.
That no, there's actually some things that are organic
Well,
for some weird reason.
What I think we'll see, the first thing after the election is, we need a Joe Rogan on the left. We need a Joe Rogan. Well, guys, you basically had a Joe Rogan on the left, but you were so crazy that Joe started to think right.
They didn't want me. That was the thing. Like,
they didn't want you?
But that's all the psyop working against them. Because in the past, they could take someone like me and demonize them, and it would be effective. And they could just remove you from the airwaves.
Right.
And then remove you as a problem because you're not playing by the rules. But now people go, oh, you know what? I think he's the one who's actually telling the truth. Let's stop listening to them. And so then CNN crashes, and then faith in mainstream media crashes, and faith in podcasts rises.
I think what we'll see, though, is, and it may come from YouTube, we'll probably see them try to hype someone up to become the Joe Rogan of the left.
Oh, they're already definitely doing that. But
who do you
the thing
think it is?
I don't care. Who gives a- Let them try.
All right.
But the thing is, it's not going to work unless that person's authentic. Because
without authenticity, it doesn't
if you
work.
hear a person long enough, you know what they're really saying. You know whether or not.
That's right.
I'm wrong all the time. You might not agree with me. That's all great, but I'm not going to lie. And that's the difference.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people are just propagandists. And they're also trying to make an argument for something without looking at the other side, which instantaneously I know now you're propagandizing. Now you're not. Now you're me. I always try to look at the other side of everything.
I know you do.
As a human, I think it's an important quality. As a person who's like broadcasting to millions of people, it's a very important quality. But it's an important quality for human beings. Like, know why you think about something. Like, is this just a knee-jerk reaction? Or is this well thought out? Are you being objective, or are you captured by this ideology that you're a part of to the point where you're just ignoring? Like, this is the thing that I find fascinating about all this USAID stuff. Because there's so many people that are so against Donald Trump dismantling the organization that they're not looking at the craziness of all the propaganda that's being exposed. They somehow or another are gaslighting themselves and all their followers to say that, no, this is aid. People are going to starve to death. There's food that's rotting. But meanwhile, I'm pretty sure even when they passed this thing where they were trying to put a stop on USAID, they gave exemptions for food and medicine.
Yeah,
so
So
you're hearing these stories of like food that's rotting now and people are going to go starve and everyone's dying of AIDS. Like,
well, you have figures who people see as authority because they have 1 million followers and likes, and then they'll believe that. And it typically doesn't work. I mean, it's like, do you remember?
I think it works, but it works for less people. There's people
that
want to be lied to. They want to believe the cult. They want to drink the Kool-Aid. They want to.
Yeah.
And that is where they've dug their heels in, and now this is where they stay.
But when you see Rachel Maddow, who has come back, for the first 100 days, she's doing a show every single day, and she's blatantly lying. I mean, literally, like, factually, clearly lying. a lot of people won't watch anything. You know, they've been told Joe Rogan is part of the broadcasting and, you know, this right-wing conspiracy all funded by whatever to propagandize, and people are going to go over there and they're going to believe what she says. And I mean, I have family members who truly believe that President Trump will take away their Social Security. Like, he's saying quite the opposite. And by the way, he can't take it away. Only Congress can take it away. USAID, created by executive order by President Kennedy, can be shut by executive order by President Trump. That's just a fact.
Well, also, what they're doing is they're highlighting there's people that are supposedly 150 years old that are getting Social Security.
Awesome. I need some of that.
There's some weird going on with Social Security.
But you know what happened? I think this is what we're not being told, but I have a lot of sysadmin friends. From what I understand, the Doge team, 4 guys initially, they were in. So the Treasury is like our bank account. It's one system, and it sends payments through the Federal Reserve System. And all they needed to do, January 21st at midnight, they were in there. They got all the payments. They've had that at Mar-a-Lago. They've been, because I've heard this, that they've been going through it like, hey, there's no reconciliation. There's just a payment with no purchase order or no confirmation that the work was done. I think at this point, they're just sitting back going, they can release more information whenever they want. Department of Education is going to be next. You're going to see a lot of Common Core craziness. I mean, remember that Common Core? The Pentagon. I hope they do the State Department too, because there's a lot going on there.
It's going to be interesting to see what resistance.
Well, the people who are squealing are the ones you want to pay attention to.
Right. Well, that's the thing is that, first of all, we were talking about this the other day. Me and my friends are saying part of the problem is these people can't conspire right now because all their phones are tapped. Everybody that, for sure.
Yeah.
Like if they're investigating you, if they're investigating these things, like the power that they have
is astronomical.
It's crazy. The power that they have to look into people's emails, look into people's phones, find out what text messages they're sending. They can look into your signal. All that's
Pegasus, baby.
Yeah, they look into everything. Yeah. So the idea that they're not doing that, if they're in the middle of some multi-trillion-dollar investigation into rampant fraud, so they know that this is going on. So they can't conspire. And then they also have to worry about people taking deals. So there's going to be some people that squeal.
Good point.
And so then you don't know who's your enemy and who's your friend. And everywhere you talk, you go to have a lunch with someone, he's wearing a button camera. You could be. And so they're not united right now.
Yeah.
And this is why it's working. And this is why they're able to release all this information, and everybody's in this hot panic right now.
Yeah. So they're squeezing them. They're squeezing them because they have it all. And thank God for James O'Keefe too, man. He's done some interesting stuff he certainly has over the years. He like gets people to. It's amazing how many guys will open up when they think they're on a date with a hot chick or a hot guy, whichever one that happens to be, and like, oh yeah, man, I'm doing all this. Yeah, we do. Oh, we don't care. We just hated Trump, and it's like, whoa, these people, they need to learn how to shut up.
I think he just got another video that he released today.
Oh yeah,
there was another video today about people going around the Doge system to try to like still do the same work.
Bro,
there was an issue with
season of reveal, Joe.
Yeah, wasn't there an issue with FEMA releasing? Is this true?
Well, so FEMA paid $59 million for illegal entrance into our country for them to stay at the Roosevelt Hotel, which is double the room rate. Have you ever stayed at the Roosevelt Hotel
in Manhattan? Way back in the day. And the Roosevelt Hotel, by the way, is owned by Pakistan.
That's right. And it was a dump. Everyone was smoking weed in their rooms. I mean, I was there maybe 10 years ago, 11 years ago. I stayed at the Roosevelt Hotel.
It was falling apart a little bit.
It was very cheap, right there on 42nd Street.
Yeah.
So they were paying double the room rate. But this isn't just in the United States. This has been happening all over the world. This is a gigantic scam.
4 federal employees were fired Tuesday over payments to reimburse New York City for hotel costs for migrants. Department of Homeland Security officials said the workers were accused of circumventing leadership to make the transactions, which have been standard for years, through a program that helps with costs to care for a surge in migration. However, officials did not give details on how the 4 had violated any policies, but they put a freeze on the payments.
He said luxury hotels, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, in quotes. So did they definitely do it? So wasn't Anderson Cooper disputing it?
I don't know.
He was saying yesterday, he was talking to Sununu, and he called him
Go to Chicago. All the hotels on the Miracle Mile are all migrant hotels.
Yeah,
because it was super good money. I mean, it's
crazy.
But that's everywhere in the world. That's the same in Europe. A big hotel chain, like you can't get a hotel room because they've got migrants for double the price.
Well, this was also something that the Biden administration lied about because they said that FEMA funds were not being used for this, but they were.
I'm with President Trump that it's better. When Helene happened, what happened there was really beautiful because everything fell down. Even North Carolina's their own state government. No one really was doing anything. And it was funny enough for the first time I've ever seen ham operators actually be successful. But the helicopter guys were all going out there. Everybody was pitching in. People were driving from all different states to come in and help people. I mean, I don't have a helicopter anymore, but I literally called up the airfield. I said, fill them up. Here's my credit card. Fill that one. Just fill them up. Fill up until this limit that I have. Fill up these. I know what it costs. You burn a lot of money in a helicopter. This is how America works. It really works well when we help each other out in all kinds of circumstances.
I like that last part. Man, that's why I was saying the other day, listen, the channels blur to me, but I was saying in one of the videos that I've done where I was saying how FEMA should be something that goes to the states and it should be kind of like the fire department and people volunteer and you just kind of, it's like, okay, something's happened. We're all FEMA volunteers or FEMA members, whatever you want to call it, and everybody goes out. Because he's right. Who acts first whenever there's some kind of disaster? It's always volunteers. It's always people from the community and outside communities and even out of state. Always. They're always there days, sometimes a full week before FEMA gets there. So it's like, why not just give it to them? Give them the funds, give them the ability, give them the authority. It makes so much more sense to me. Anyway, let's move on here. Let's dig in to, first off, one thing that Joe Rogan's talking about in terms of right-wing people getting paid, the mainstream is trying to float this conspiracy. And the reason that they're doing it is because they're trying to devalue so many people on the right who are podcasters, who are YouTubers, who are making content all the time. They're trying to devalue them in the sense of, it's a network and they get paid and this and that. They're trying to discredit these people. They're trying to call us the paid shills, when in reality, that's not the case. But you'd be crazy to think that there's no one on the right that's getting paid for certain things and information. And listen, I got a tinfoil Speedo on under here, okay? If I stood up, it's just tinfoil and thighs, okay? That's all it is if I stand up. You don't want me to. It's just shining thighs. But yeah, of course there's people getting paid. I don't know who they are. I have a lot of suspicions about at least 5 different people that I think are either paid or just straight up feds that are on the right or maybe even considered far right. I have a bunch of theories on that. I honestly don't think Joe Rogan's one of them. I am biased, of course. As you can see here, I am biased. That is not Aleister Crowley. That is Joe Rogan on the picture there. So I am biased, but I also think, why would they give him so much money that he could just go independent? Like, you think they'd want to string you along, But also they gave Rachel Maddow I think she's made like $100 million. So my theory, even as I'm putting it out there, my theory kind of loses steam. But it's like, you give him this much power, you give him that much money. He's made like $500 million. He could easily next year just be like, I'm done with Spotify. I'm done with YouTube. Guys, I'm making a website. I'm sorry, it's $5 a month. He gets 1 billion downloads a year. If he was just like, hey, it's just $5, or hey, it's just $4. There's 1 billion people who listen to his podcast every year, right? So let's just say some people are reoccurring. I'm super reoccurring, right? Let's just say it's half. Let's just say it's actually just 500 million people who are just listening, returning. He can make $500 million a year just on his own, not having to pay anybody. That's insane. That's without ads. What are we talking about here? Like, why would the system give him the ability to just be a billionaire and just be the most powerful voice independently, But who knows? Like I said, Rachel Maddow, like $100 million so far. I think I think her contract is 35 million. I think it was more before. I'm pretty sure in the past 5 years she's made around $100 million. So she also has that ability, I guess. I don't know. Hard to say, but I will say there's for sure people getting paid on the right. I don't know who they are. There's feds. There's feds everywhere. Everything gets infiltrated. There's nothing, whether it's BLM or the alphabet community or Palestine, like whatever it is, any protests that you've seen, everything gets infiltrated. Look up Red Squads. You know what a Red Squad is? Look it up. Guys, sorry to interrupt the video. You know I don't like to do that, but I just had to let you know that there is another channel that I have. Okay, we have 255 videos, and this is where we break away from the Joe Rogan content. We are covering breaking news. We are covering just things that are going on, culture war stuff, woke nonsense, all sorts of stuff like that. So for those of you who have been asking, hey, what's with the big focus on Joe Rogan? Here it is. This is where we break away from the Joe Rogan content. Coach Colin Media, link in the description. Let's get back to the video. Let's get into this really quick. This is them ignoring the corruption with USAID. I want you to hear CNN's perspective.
So what happens on Friday?
Of course I have it on double speed. And we were going so well. But I kind of talk on double speed too, so.
Where will these losses, how will these losses be felt?
You have to understand, you cannot pause an airplane in mid-flight and fire the crew, but this oligarch with unchecked power is doing that to the entirety of our foreign assistance worldwide, our life-saving foreign assistance worldwide. We are damaging U.S. capacity, U.S. standing, and also harming lives. These are programs that range from eradicating polio to fighting outbreaks that are occurring right now. Bird flu monitoring is being shut down, is already shut down. It's already closed. And so this is the demolition, unconstitutional demolition of a critical agency. And it is, it's gonna cost lives.
How will it impact, for instance, fighting malaria?
The entire malaria team is wiped out, including some of the top world experts in malaria. Programs involving thousands of people around the world, distributing millions of bed nets, providing for children who, it's one of the top killers of children in areas that have malaria around the world. And those treatments and diagnostics gone, and the people who take care of them laid off. Thousands of people around the world who are terminated.
Even look how they're handling this. They're showing you pictures of poor black people and all sorts of every single ethnicity you could think of, every race, just showing you the poorest of the poor, showing you them doing a good job. He even likens it to an airplane in the air that has just been shut off randomly while it's in the air, and now it's going to come crashing down. You know, I would respect this guy so much more. And if you don't know who this guy is, the guy speaking, I mean, his name is Dr. Atul Gawande. Atul Gawande. He's the former USAID Assistant Administrator for Global Health. So here's the thing. I would say the guy's biased, and now he's completely showing his bias, right? Completely showing his bias. If he would just say there are some things that are questionable in USAID, but there's so many good things, and then went on with what he's saying, I might be inclined to believe him. I might be able to go there with him. But because he's ignoring everything that's been found, it's not everything that's being conspirized. Conspirized? Is that a word? Fine. It's not that. These aren't theories. This is actual stuff that the people who are auditing them are showing you. This is the president's press secretary telling you this stuff. This is Elon Musk, who runs Doge, telling you all of this. This is on official government websites. This is not up for debate. This is not like, oh, well, you know, agree to disagree. No. No. You have the acting administrator right now, Marco Rubio, who's telling you about his current experience with this group and his former experience when he was just working as a senator, I believe. And he was trying to actually penetrate and figure out, hey, what do you guys spend on? Can we bring down the spending? And they were completely non-compliant with him. And even in his position as Secretary of State, they are still non-compliant with him. It's crazy. It's just ridiculous. So, yeah, I don't buy what he's saying. Breaking news here. AP has been reportedly banned from the Oval Office and Air Force One for refusing to recognize the Gulf of America. That was an order directly from Trump. I named it the Gulf of America. I named it. I was in the air flying over. It was Gulf of America Day, February 9th. It was a beautiful day. Super Bowl. Kendrick Lamar played Not Like Us. I was letting the world know they're not like us. And you don't recognize the Gulf of America. We can't have that. I don't want you in here. You're not coming in. You're not allowed in. That's just how it's going to be. Moving on to more people in CNN, of course, ignoring what's going on when it comes to the corruption. This is Aaron Burnett, who is listening to Elon Musk talk about everything he's finding across the board. And he's made some shocking discoveries. And this is what she's mostly concerned about.
Who was the one standing, taking most of the questions, having the president in this odd, jarring setting, looking up to him? Well, it was Elon. This was Musk's first press conference since Trump's election, and he took over. Trump literally, in all these images, kind of looked like he'd been pushed off to the side because Elon was the center of it. I mean, at times, Trump seemed annoyed. I mean, it wasn't just that Musk dominated. He did speak for about 20 of the 32 minutes. So about 63.5%, if you're counting of the time. It was that Musk physically owned the entire event. He and his child were the center of the attention. Who was the one standing, taking most of the questions, having the president in this odd...
If you notice, Elon Musk is actually doing most of the standing. We don't know why. Elon Musk stood for about 89% of the time, spoke for about 63.5%. His son picked his nose about 4 different times. These are the things we have to focus on here, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely ridiculous. But they're ignoring everything. Instead of being like, what did Elon come up with? Doing a highlight of everything that he's claiming, they're like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to focus on driving a wedge between them. Trying to, at least. And it's clearly not working, and people aren't falling for it. You can't come with this when Elon Musk is like, so at the U.S. Treasury, there's just blank checks going out. And we're paying terrorist organizations. You can't ignore that and be like, but why is he standing, and why is President Trump sitting? President Musk is, that's what I think. Absolutely ridiculous. Moving on to Rachel Maddow, who was caught lying by Jesse Waters here. Check this out.
Elon Musk has apparently somehow convinced the United States government, specifically the United States Department of State, that the taxpayers of the United States of America should spend $400 million buying, quote, armored Tesla production units. Isn't it great and definitely not at all illegal or profoundly corrupt? Definitely not ripping us all off to pay themselves, right?
Donald Trump didn't give that contract to Elon Musk. Joe Biden gave it to him.
Elon.
And Trump canceled it. Funny enough. I know it's weird. Trump canceling President Musk's contract? I know, it's a little crazy. I mean, who is President Trump to do that, right? It's interesting. She's doing these episodes, like Adam Curry said, she's doing an episode every single day for 100 days because, they're doing Trump's first 100 days in office, and any good press that comes out, they're trying to be the outlet that provides you the bad press. All the discoveries, they're trying to be the people that dispel this discoveries. But this is just a blatant lie that she just got caught in. And believe me, it's probably one of hundreds because she's not in the business of telling the truth. You know what? I should actually read exactly what Jimmy Dore said. Is this the Post? Where's the post where Jimmy Dore actually is the one that commented on it? Oh, I can't find it. That was the woman, by the way. I was talking about Trump not being able to realize who this $30 million woman was. Apparently it's her. Her name's Samantha Power, but we'll talk about that in another episode. Jimmy Dore was speaking on this whole thing with Rachel Maddow. What if I just put Jimmy Dore, Rachel Maddow? Just so you guys know, you can use X as a search engine. It works just as well. There it is. Boom. Right here, Jimmy Dore said, War Pig, Rachel Maddow is completely wrong in pushing a conspiracy theory about her political enemies. Again? Yeah, that's what she does for a living. You don't get paid a $35 million contract from the establishment for telling the truth. You get $35 million for pushing Russiagate and pushing pro-war propaganda. And he called her a garbage human being. Of course, Jimmy Dore called her that. And you know what? We don't condone that type of stuff on this channel. But I'll tell you something. I'm not going to stop smiling after I read it. I'll tell you that much. Let's move on here. Joe Rogan mentioned 150 years old collecting social insurance. That was not something that he made up.
You know, there's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone that's 150? I don't. Okay. They should be on the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out. So, you know, that's a case where, like, I think they're probably dead. It's my guess. Or they should be very famous, one of the two. You know, there's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone that's 150? I don't. Okay.
I do, of course. What is Elon talking about? Joe Biden is 157 years old. Whoa. This is ridiculous. He was just in office just a couple of months ago. Like, what are we talking about right now? Are you serious? How did Elon miss that? Joe Biden is 150 years old. Nancy Pelosi is 120. Mitch McConnell is 300 years old. What is he talking about? Get your facts straight, buddy. I see why Rachel Maddow dislikes this guy so much. Moving on to James O'Keefe. I actually want to... This is the clip that I'm going to show. But let's see if we can find what Joe was actually talking about. Because Joe mentioned something directly that may have came out today. James O'Keefe. He follows me. I got to try and interview James O'Keefe one day. This is the most recent thing that he pulled up that he has going so far. So I'm just going to go with that then. So this person was talking about Doge, and, you know, Adam Curry was just saying, thank God for James O'Keefe. And I just want to play this as an example of why he's saying stuff like that, if you don't know about James O'Keefe already.
There are people that I know who've been working for the government for like 40 years, and they didn't do much. I hate to say it. I know a few of them.
Meet Nathaniel Johnson, a policy advisor for the United States Department of the Treasury.
Basically, no one's quitting. Everyone's essentially dug in their feet and said, like, you're going to have to fire me.
The policy advisor for the Treasury declares that what Elon is doing is, quote, government-sanctioned harassment.
Every single federal employee got the email last Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, that basically said, we're offering you the option to retire. No one has ever done that before. Two, no one thinks it's legal. It's not going to do anything, and it's going to fire the wrong people. It's like government-sanctioned harassment.
Nate Johnson says that Doge should not have access to the Treasury Department. He says due to, quote, risks to national security.
It's weird because it's like no one knows what they want to do with the system. This is like what I deal with, is like vulnerabilities, risk and stuff like that. It's that person who has access, who probably shouldn't have access, could take that information and give it to someone that they shouldn't give it to. Or they could give it to a foreign country. You can be American and you can still give that information away.
I also spoke directly to Nate Johnson. You say Elon is doing this because he, quote, really cares about money more than they do the country. Do you think Elon Musk cares more about money than the country?
I don't believe I ever said that. I think that there is a class of people in this country who care more about money than they do about the country. He's shown that what he really cares about is money. So in theory, all he wants is money. Well, money.
Why not speak now publicly? Why not talk to a reporter about the things that you told a stranger?
I again am going to ask that you do not publish my name. I'm not giving permission.
Listen, I'm an investigative reporter. I don't get permission from people. That's not what I do.
I'm again going to have to ask that you please don't name me.
You're asking me to bury a story.
I'm declining to speak to you any further.
I am going to do this story, with or without your permission.
James O'Keefe, Joe Rogan famously calls James O'Keefe the boogeyman when it comes to what he does. I say James O'Keefe is like a political Chris Hansen. You just know, you're in a restaurant and he walks up and he just says, take a seat. And he just has a microphone and you're like, and the person you were on a date with is a decoy. They're gone and you're just there by yourself. And that's it. There's nothing you can do. You're already caught. They have your chat logs. They know everything you were saying to the person. And now all you can do is run. That's it. That's all you can do. It's very much like To Catch a Predator. It is. It's crazy. But yeah, thank God for James O'Keefe. He's amazing. I'm surprised Elon's not working with James O'Keefe in some way, shape, or form. I feel like Doge is getting to a point where you can close the doors of offices, and that's going to happen more and more as the audits and investigations go on. But eventually they're going to need the people. Like right now, Elon is talking about actually auditing politicians and their net worth and how they're worth so much, and asking them how they did that and then having them have to prove that. You're going to need James O'Keefe, or at least something like that, what we just watched, at some point. So it's very, I wonder if they'll ever work together, because that needs to happen, right? As we move on to people, or as Doge moves on to people, there's going to be a need for that type of thing, because when it comes to people, it's not going to be closing the doors. You can't close the doors on a person once you find out they've been enriching themselves. And it might get to the point where firing them point blank is not nearly enough. I mean, Trump is handing out firings and retirings like nothing right now. That's going to result in something else, right? So we'll have to see what actually happens there. Any other breaking news? Federal judge just sided with Elon Musk and Doge, rejecting an offer to block them from accessing government information. This is a huge win. Doge now has the green light to fully dig into Elizabeth Warren's CFPB HHS, now ran by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and the Department of Labor. Whew. Wow. That's going to be something. Speaking of looking into people, that's going to be something. So very interesting stuff. I think, there's also the FEMA thing. I feel like, if you watch the show regularly and you've already seen me talk about the FEMA thing, I do apologize, but, it is something that Joe Rogan brought up. 59 million, I believe it was 59 million. So it went to the Roosevelts. They were basically paying double. Just want to see if I can find the same thing. Yeah, they were basically paying double. What they were paying full occupancy and double. The Roosevelt is actually owned by Pakistan. And if you kind of connect the dots in this, I'll just read this. Just last week, career civil servants from FEMA illegally diverted $59 million from disaster relief to housing illegal aliens in New York City. The city leases the Roosevelt from the Pakistani government. And thanks to a deal brokered by Senator Chuck Schumer, FEMA is footing the bill. Pakistan already received 100 million of a total 220 million committed by the city. So you have to really connect the dots on what Adam Curry was saying. And again, I've never been in the Roosevelt, so I don't know what it looks like right now. Maybe they updated it. But if we're going under the premise that this hotel isn't getting updated, it's staying up to code, but he's talking about this place falling apart and being a little scummy and this and that. So what we're seeing is a hotel that's full occupancy at double the price, and they're not doing anything to upgrade the facility. At that point, you've basically just given Pakistan $59 million. If they're, I know their staff and everything like that. Okay, fine. But at the same time, if nothing's going into the facility to upkeep it, then you've just given them money. And then going with Elon Musk and what he said during his stay in the Oval Office, his interview there, he was saying when it comes to getting on a do not pay list, that could take up to a year. So that $220 million that's committed, they've already received $100 million. There's another $120 million to be received. And if you wanted to put that on a do not pay list, it could take up to a year for that to take effect. So they could receive even more money than just the $100 million. So, but I don't know about that. It might be different in the case of FEMA and this whole thing. The people have been fired, so they're already taking action. So it's just very interesting stuff. But I will say at the end of this, Joe Rogan is 100% right. Right now, the phones are tapped and the squeeze is coming. I wouldn't even doubt that it's already happening. And 100%, there is going to be someone who's just going to be like, I'll tell you everything. Think about this. These are white collar people. They don't know how to deal with that. They don't want to go to any type of facility, jail. They don't even want that mark on them. There is going to be dozens of people who will say, I will tell you everything as long as I don't do a day in jail. And if they're willing to promise that, which I think they will be for a lot of information, we're going to see. This is going to be wild. And I think that's just around the corner. But we'll see. I mean, I was playing another clip from a video. I think it was on this channel. May have been on the second channel. Go subscribe to the second channel. But it was a woman who is from USAID. And she was talking about when they came, Doge, when they came in. And she's like, we were taking down our pride flags. And she's like, I made sure to remove all incriminating books from my desk. It's like, what books are you talking about? They're incriminating? She used the word incriminate. I'm not making this up. So it's like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's very, very fun to cover this type of stuff. Oh, it's so nice. Anyway, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, helps the channel tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.